Of the Newberry County Board of Zoning Appeals for November 7th, 2023 will come to order. First off, we'd like to welcome Mr. Sam Ziti to our board tonight. If you haven't already, make him welcome as you leave. Good to have you, Mr. Sam.
Thank you.
If you would, disable the audible function of your communicators. And if you choose to speak tonight, sign in with Miss Bridget, please, and consider yourself under oath. We do have a quorum. First item of business is the potential approval of the minutes of the meeting of October the 3rd. Gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept as written.
I'll second.
Motion been made, second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Old business none, new business, case presentation. Case number VA 01-11-07-23, a variance request for the relief of the average of the 82.5-foot setback from 360 contour of Lake Murray to be 63 feet for an addition to the existing house. The property is located at 179 Alice Harris Road, Prosperity, South Carolina, tax map number 535-2-3-6. Ms. Katie.
The owners are asking for a variance request for the relief of the 82.5-foot required setback from Lake Murray to be 63 feet. They are wanting to do an addition to their existing house. It will be going towards Lake Murray. And again, there is an existing house, so that's their hardship.
Any questions for Ms. Katie from the board? Thank you, Ms. Katie. Anyone here to speak in favor of this request? Got to be somebody.
I got mine. I am the owner.
Are you Mr. Whitefield?
Whitfield.
Whitfield.
Yes, sir. And then sign?
No.
Oh, just print it. Okay. All right. The only thing I would want to add to what Katie had said is, she had said the hardship was the existing house, but also the other hardship for me going the other way, away from Murray is we've got the septic tank right at the back of that house, and the fill lines are out there. That was all I was wanting to add, just in case she had forgotten it, or that, you know, make sure that gets into it anyway.
Okay.
Okay? That-
Hold your position for a
Okay.
second. Any questions from the board for Mr. Whitfield?
How far past the existing house are you extending? It looks like 15 feet.
I'm trying to open up the open floor plan for the living room, dining room, kitchen area, and going 15 foot towards the lake, and then I'm doing a master bedroom on the other end, which is towards my neighbor on the right-hand side. That's pretty much it.
Any more questions for Mr. Whitfield? Hearing none, thank you, Mr. Whitfield.
Thank you.
Anyone else to speak in favor of this request? Anyone to speak in opposition to this request? Hearing none, the board is obligated to consider the finding of facts. The board is required to consider the following factors for section 153.052 A through F of the zoning ordinance. 153.052C, 1 through 5. There are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to a particular piece of property, and
I concur, Mr. Chairman.
Hold the board, starting with Judge Hill. Concur?
I agree.
Concur.
Concur?
Concur.
I agree on it, Chairman.
These conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity or in that district.
I concur.
Concur. I agree on it. Concur.
Mr. Zady?
Agree.
Because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to a particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict use of the property.
I concur.
I concur also.
Yes, sir. I concur, so, yes.
4 and 5, the authorization of the variance will not be a substantial detriment to the adjacent property or the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by granting of the variance, and the effect of the variance would not allow the establishment of use not otherwise permitted in the zoning district, would not extend physically a non-conforming use of the land, would not change the zoning district boundary shown on the official zoning map.
I concur.
I do also.
Agreed.
I concur also.
Everybody in concurrence, the board would now, the chair would now entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we grant the variance request.
I'll second it there.
Seconded by Mr. Metz. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Unanimous, the request is granted.
30 days.
30 days. Thank you, Whitfields.
Thank you.
Y'all can go if you, unless you just. Thank you.
Y'all have a good day.
You too. Appreciate you coming out.
Thank you.
Next item, case number VA 02-11-07-23. A variance request for the relief of the average of the 93-foot setback from the 360 contour of Lake Murray to be 66 feet for an addition to the existing manufactured home. The property is located at 133 Sandy Beach Drive, Prosperity, South Carolina, tax map number 538-4-26. Ms. Katie.
The owners are asking for a variance request for the relief of the 93-foot required setback from Lake Murray to be 66 feet. They're gonna do an addition to their existing home, like the prior one, the home's already there, and their septic system is in the rear of the home as well.
Any questions of Ms. Katie? Anyone here to speak in favor of this request?
Yes, sir.
Just print your name.
Are you Mr. Fish?
Yes, sir.
Did I get it right?
Yeah,
Okay.
good shot. The only thing I wanted to add is I do have letters from both of my neighbors on either side, just to clarify that they were no objection to it, and they're in favor of the addition as well. And then, like Katie mentioned, there's a septic side, and then the front side is the road side. There's no room on that side either, so this is pretty much the only direction we could go. So, didn't know if you want me to enter any letters, but just figured I'd offer them. Okay.
And you said you had letters.
Right, from the neighbors on the right and the left, 105, and I think it's 138. The right and the left, the two that would be, their view would be possibly obstructed,
That's
but they're
all.
not, and they were fine with.
That's always good to have. Any questions from Mr. Fish?
You want us to take the letters into,
I can't
you
hear.
want us to take the letters into, as
You have
evidence?
them with you?
Oh, sure do.
I will put them in the folder.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fish. Anyone else to speak in favor of this proposal? Anyone to speak in opposition? Hearing none, the board is required to consider the finding of facts. There are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to a particular piece of property.
I concur.
I do as well.
I concur too. I concur.
These conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity or in that district.
I concur.
I concur as well.
I concur.
Because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to a particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict use of the property.
I concur.
Concur as well.
Yes, sir. Concur also, Chairman. Thank you, sir.
Finding of facts 4 and 5, the authorization of the variance will not be a substantial detriment to adjacent property or the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance, and the effect of the variance will not allow the establishment of use not otherwise permitted in the zoning district, would not extend physically a non-conforming use of land, would not change the zoning district boundaries shown on the official zoning map.
I concur.
I concur.
Yes, sir.
I concur on 4 and 5.
The chair would entertain a motion on the request.
I move that we approve the variance request, Mr. Chairman.
I would second.
Motion's been made and seconded by Mr. Lester. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Your request is granted.
30 days.
Next item. Case number VA 03-11-07-23, a variance request for the relief of the average of the 85-foot setback from the 360 contour of Lake Murray to be 35.5 feet or 12 feet by 12 feet gazebo. This property is located at 150 Sunview Road, Prosperity, South Carolina, tax map 594-6-4. Ms. Katie.
Yes, the owners are asking for a variance request for the relief of the 80-foot required setback from Lake Murray to be 35.5 feet for a gazebo. It is being built over an existing pad, and their septic system would interfere other placement on their property.
Any questions for Ms. Katie?
This is an open gazebo?
Yes.
Any more questions for Ms. Katie?
Let's see.
Thank you, Ms. Katie, as always. Anyone here to speak in favor of this request?
I'm here if you have any questions.
Would you be Ms. Graham?
I am.
All right.
I'd just like to say that we bought the property next to us from a gentleman who had a camper on it. So he's moved the camper, we've cleaned up the area and asking to put a little open gazebo out. The neighbors next to us are looking forward to it so they can enjoy it with us.
Any questions for Ms. Graham? Hearing none, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else to speak in favor of this request? Anyone to speak in opposition to this request? Being none, the board is required to consider the finding of facts. There are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to a particular piece of property.
I concur.
I concur as well.
Yes, sir. I concur also.
This seems redundant, but we have to do it for your request, if it's approved to be legal. These conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity or in that district.
I concur.
I concur as well.
Yes, sir.
I concur.
I concur also.
Because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to a particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict use of the property.
I concur.
I concur.
I concur.
4 and 5, the authorization of the variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property or the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance, and the effect of the variance would not allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted in the zoning district, will not extend physically a non-conforming use of the land, will not change the zoning district boundary shown on the official zoning map. How do you feel about?
I
4 and
concur on
5?
4 and 5.
Concur.
I
Yes, sir.
concur.
I concur on 4 and 5 also.
The chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance request as stated.
And I'll second that.
Motion's made by Judge Rhinestown and seconded by Judge Hill.
Yes, sir.
All in favor, any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. The request is granted. Next item, case number VA 04-11-07-23. A variance request for the relief of the minimum 100-foot setback from the adjacent property with an existing residential use to be 50 feet for a pet retreat business. The property is located at 103 Mount Bethel Garmany Road, Newberry, South Carolina. Portion of tax map numbers 397-10 and 342-2-5-12-1. Ms. Cady.
And it's hard to see these outlined because of the red, but it's the triangle piece and then the long, narrow piece behind it. The owners are requesting a variance for the relief of the 100-foot required setback from an existing residential use of a property to be 50 feet. So kennels and other pet care services are a conditional use in our zoning ordinance in the general commercial zoning district. The only issue they're having to meet all of the requirements is the 100-foot setback from adjacent property lines. So they're here tonight to ask if they can be 50 foot, and the only residential property is that small area there in the green in the corner.
Any questions for Ms. Cady?
Mr. Chairman, I just have one question for Ms. Katie, just for clarification on that tax map. Is that 342-2-5-12/1?
Yep, the long narrow piece behind the parcel in the green, and then the triangular piece there, there on Mount Bethel Garmany.
Okay. So I think it's different than that on the application. I think it says 2-2.
Isn't that?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I thought it was meant to be 5s. Okay.
Correction is noted. Any more questions for Ms. Cady? Thank you, Ms. Cady. Anyone here to speak in favor of this? I don't see Billy West here.
So, this young lady would like to open her business, but the problem we have is the lot is actually in an L shape. So it actually goes around the back and the side. So that's why we gotta get the setback because where it makes that corner, that peak. So
Okay.
she buys a lot, that's how it is,
And your name, sir?
in the west.
Oh, you are?
All right.
Well, I do see a Billy West.
He is a Billy West. But the only property that's not owned by West Development is this.
That piece in green.
And I should have added, they're gonna do a survey that's going to, cut a track out of those two, correct?
That's correct, it actually
Yep.
comes, it makes an L shape around the green piece. The track she's looking for.
Any more questions for Mr. West?
We voting on the 4.04 and 457, or you said it'll have it surveyed out as later on.
So you're just approving the, 50-foot setback requirement instead of the 100-foot on the property that will be cut out from those two properties.
I think Exhibit A shows that. Exhibit A.
Do you have a copy of it?
Yeah,
You
so
don't need to see a
that's
copy of it?
exactly right. So
Or you have
Exhibit
it?
A shows what will be the new,
But that says 25 feet, right?
Yeah, okay, that helps.
because so it can be, since this is all commercial.
They can be 25. This
Yeah,
is the only
that's
place
the
that's
only
issued.
place they have.
Now I'm complete.
Good now?
As clear as mud. Thank you.
This is the residential lot, so that's why this should be.
Okay, this
a-
is that
This is the-
triangular,
mhm.
so it sits like that.
That's right.
Gotcha.
And then
Now,
all of this is already general commercial, so they don't have to have that 100-foot setback.
Now it's,
Everybody good now?
You good?
I'm good.
yes.
So if you turn it like that, that's that residential lot, so
be authorized. Okay.
Any more questions from Mr. West or Ms. Katie?
All right. Thank you, sir.
Hearing none, thank you. Anyone else to speak in favor of this request? Anyone to speak in opposition to this request? Hearing none, the board is required to consider the following facts. There are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to a particular piece of property.
I concur.
I concur as well. Yes, sir.
Concur also.
These conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity or in that district.
I concur.
I concur as well.
Concur. Concur. Concur.
Because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to a particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict use of the property.
I concur.
I agree.
Commissioner. Concur.
Facts 4 and 5, the authorization of the variance will not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent property or the public good, and the character of that district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance, and the effect of the variance will not allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted in the zoning district, will not extend physically a non-conforming use of the land, will not change the zoning district boundary shown on the official zoning map. How do-
4 and 5, I
How
concur.
do we feel on 4 and 5?
I agree.
Concur. On 4.
That being said, the chair would entertain a motion.
I move that it be approved.
I'll second that.
Motion by Judge Lister and seconded by Judge Hill, I believe.
Yes, sir.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Mr. West, you're good to go.
Thank y'all very much, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
My glasses are fogging. Next item. Next number, VA 05-11-07-23. A variance request for the relief of the average of the 70.5-foot setback from the 360 condo of Lake Murray to be 60 feet for a site-built house. The property is located at 253 Alice Harris Road, Prosperity, South Carolina. Tax map number 535-2-3-10. Ms. Katie.
The property owner is here tonight asking for a variance request for the relief of the 70.5-foot required setback from Lake Murray to be 60 foot. Due to the topography of the land, which is very steep there at the road, the requested location is where the flat land is, and his septic tank will also play a part in where the house needs to be built.
Any questions for Ms. Katie? Thank you, Ms. Katie. Anyone here to speak in favor of this request?
Yes, sir, Jordan Tom. Definitely not much to add at all, she nailed it, but,
Would you be Mr. Simpson by chance?
I would be Mr. McConnell, the owner, Mr. Simpson's my builder.
Oh, okay. Proceed, Mr. McConnell.
Nothing to add, there's rock back there as well, we just need 10 feet, that's all we're asking.
Any questions for Mr. McConnell? I don't know what else to say. Thank you.
Sir.
Anyone else to speak in favor of this request? Anyone to speak in opposition to this request? Hearing none, the board is required to consider the finding of facts. There are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to a particular piece of property.
I would concur.
I concur.
I concur.
Mr. Metz, Mr. Lester.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's fine.
he started it. He jumped in.
I missed eye contact that time. These conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity or in that district.
I concur.
I concur.
Concur. I concur on that one.
Because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to a particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict use of the property.
Concur.
Concur as well.
Concur on
Finding of facts 4 and 5, the authorization of the variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property or the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance, and the effect of the variance will not allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted in the zoning district, will not extend physically a non-conforming use of the land, will not change the zoning district boundary shown on the official zoning map. How do we feel about that?
I concur, sir.
I concur.
I concur on
Everyone's in concurrence, the chair would entertain a motion.
I move that we grant the variance.
I would second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Request is granted. Mr. McCollum?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
30 days.
I've run out of hours.
No, you
Next
haven't.
Next scheduled meeting is December the 5th, which I understand we don't have any business.
We do not.
I don't know what else to say other than,
I move that we adjourn.
come on.
I just got a general question, because I didn't realize it, but, you have all these places on the lake, and the setback is different on each one. Even like on Alice Harris Road, you got two different setbacks on the same.
I'll explain it to you. I'm gonna let them adjourn.
Okay.
All right, I heard the motion in a second. We adjourn.
Can I, who's second?
it. Okay.